Mr. Bachi, do you want to respond, or we defer that?
Yes. Well, higher education has a program there, and it should be a program. Yeah, there's a program, and there are a number of interventions on higher education program. So myself, I'm a lecturer at the university, and I taught 4 other universities, so I was very keen to ensuring that we can have something for higher education. For your question, you said you counted 378. Yeah, we counted and it was 375. Maybe we will reach it. Well, I think it's 375. We'll reach it.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll quickly go to the next presentation, which is the impact of current global financial landscape on Liberia and the mitigation measures. This will be presented by Anthony G. Myers, the Minister of Fiscal Affairs, Minister of Finance and Development Planning, and Henry D.C. Yampua, Assistant Minister for Economic Policy. This topic is quite important because of what we are currently experiencing. We all are aware there have been shifts in global finance and development, but many of us don't really know the details. So Mr. Myers will take us through that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wabo. The early introduction by Minister Bronson and the presentation, and also the summary from Mr. Wabo indicates that the current context for development finance in Liberia, or the most immediate, is the withdrawal of USG resources. But at the same time, we're also following the trend in international trade. The acceleration of tariff regimes will have secondary disturbances across the world that will affect Liberia. Because if our markets, the market for resources, are impacted by the tariff war, definitely that is affecting our commodity exports. So that's this. Okay.
Sorry for that. It's actually this on its way. You'll still be here, but we'll continue. We'll continue with this while he arrives, and then after the presentation, we'll pause and then do the open session of his remarks. So you can continue, and then we'll ask questions after that.
Good morning, this is Focus on Liberia live broadcast, and welcome you to welcome all of our viewers to this broadcast at Ministerial Ellen Johnson Ministerial Complex, where the government of Liberia is hosting a high-level retreat in AAID. And so you're welcome, and the President is right in a corridor to enter the retreat hall. So I ask that you keep watching. My name is Gwendolyn Dorado.
So one of the situations we are facing now in Liberia, in the region and much of the world, is the rising cost of goods and services. And this is largely influenced by supply side inflation as the cost of production rises, final prices of goods and commodities will also rise. Interest rates, it is becoming more difficult for investment financing because of higher interest rates. The owners of capital are becoming long-term asset, which means cash available for investment is constrained. Supply chain disruption, of course, the tariff war and previous impacts, the impacts, neighboring impacts of COVID and other things still have impact on supply chain. Currency, like ours in Liberia, is always subject to volatility, and so as the exchange rate fluctuates, it affects prices for the economy like ours, which is largely dominated by import. Then, of course, like I mentioned, in addition to the impact of the tariff on trade, it will also affect economic slowdown across the world. In fact, recently the World Bank reverses growth outlook for 2025. That's so, Aaron, if we want to just come and briefly walk us through this data here. The trend of the graph can tell you what we're talking about. So you can just briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Maya, for allowing the panel view. So, what you see on the graph, the first one had to do with the world economic outlook, and you can see that the global GDP rate is somewhere around 3.3%. So it is flat, meaning the world is not growing that much. And you see the graph below that is the regional outlook. So you see we have the MRU average as well as ECOWAS average, and then you have the world in Sub-Saharan Africa. So we see that there's still growth within our region. That means we are growing but very slow. And then you see that even for ECOWAS, we are even projected going forward to come down more. So all the reasons given by Minister Maya and what we speak to going forward tells you there's a need to rethink how we address our development issues.
Let's start, please. So what does that mean for Liberia? So the common saying that we are in a global village is clearly illustrated here. So what is happening in the world is also impacting us. Because as a result, our GDP growth rate has slowed in recent years. Foreign direct investment is not coming as much as it was in the early post-war era. And I mentioned earlier the prices of imported commodities are going up. The government, though, has done well over the past 12 months to keep the price of fuel stable, because we know that it's a cross-cutting commodity for all production and consumption decisions that we make. And it's obviously having an impact on living standards, which is why the REST agenda has all of those programs to ensure that this can be mitigated. And then the informal economy. This is start to the inability or the restrained ability of people to get finance through the formal sector. So most will resort to the informal economy. And the Liberian dollar has in recent years been a bit on the up and down roller coaster. And this is not an instantaneous picture we are drawing up here. We are looking at the trend over a number of years going back to at least 3 to 5 years for certain indicators. Next. So, similar to what we see with the war outlook, Henry is going to come to see how the picture in Liberia mirrors what is happening in the larger global economy. So, Henry, you want to just come and give us.
Okay, so for the first graph, it shows what is happening in Liberia. We are current we're forecasted for 2025 to conclude at 5.8%. For last year, we are at 4.8%. Now, what you want to see in the torus bar is the mining sector. So you see that the mining sector has been performing, but coming to 24, 25, 26 is declining. But one takeaway is that we see that agriculture is also becoming stronger. And then manufacturing too is also improving. Agriculture and manufacturing have a very good relationship because agriculture serves as the supporting base for manufacturing. They gradually still have a public debt to GDP ratio. The blue line is our debt to GDP ratio. We are currently at 54.5%, but we are below regional average, the red line, which is 70%. Once we work within the framework of our PFM structure, we always meet this convergent criteria. Our convergent criteria are criteria set, targets set by the ECOWAS region to move us to a single currency regime. We have missed our thrust on that, but we are targeted to meet that by 2027. The next one up there has to do with inflation. We are currently at 8.3%, which meets the national target of the single digit, but we still miss out on regional target of 5%. The next one is the exchange rate, we are currently at 9.3%. The regional target is 10%, plus or minus. Next slide. So what you see up there is fiscal deficit to GDP ratio. We also made our criteria where national target is well there. Then we have our central bank reserve. Now with that, by June we are at 2.6 month of input. In December we are at 2.9. So we are still below the regional target of 3 months. But we are hopeful that before end of 2025, working between the monetary and fiscal regime, we'll be able to meet that target. Central bank financing are also good. That's the next one.
We need to interrupt now the arrival of the chief executive. You will please excuse us.
Now the President of the Republic of Liberia has arrived.
Officials of government, development partners, invited guests, have the honor at this time to announce the arrival of His Excellency Joseph Mabokas, President of the Republic of Liberia.
Good morning again. Welcome, Excellency, Mr. President. With the arrival of the President. Mr. President, today's program, as you are aware, is to discuss how the government and the partners can collaborate in advancing the implementation. A key part of it is to find innovative ways to fund the arrest agenda for inclusive development. So at the end of the day, we expect to achieve two outcomes. One, how we strengthen collaboration, and two, how do we determine innovative financial mechanisms to implement the agenda for transformation, the arrest agenda for inclusive development given the global landscape. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the opening sessions, which we postponed earlier. And we'll now ask the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Mr. Gov't, to give us his welcome remarks.
His Excellency Joseph Newman Boakai, President of the Republic of Liberia, Her Excellency Madam Sarah Bezo-Yanti, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Dean of the Cabinet, other cabinet members here present, Madam Resident Coordinator of the UN, our own big sister, Christine Umutuni, and members of the Development Partner Community, ambassadors, country managers, partners and friends of Liberia, heads of government institutions, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and our good friends from the full estate. In January, precisely on January 15, 2025, we had the honor to have been in the beautiful city of Bikama, Grand Bassa County, where His Excellency President Joseph Newman Boakai formally launched the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development and the 15 county development agendas. In the Arrest Agenda, as Assistant Minister Bachu said, we have big macro goals, we have interventions in all the sectors. In a sense, the Arrest Agenda encapsulates the ambition of the Liberian people for development. And the captain of this ship, His Excellency President Joseph Newman Boakai, is committed to ensuring that those ambitions are actualized within the 5-year tenure of the Arrest Agenda. We are his lieutenants, we the cabinet ministers, deputies, assistants, and director generals and others. And our partners in progress. We all are aligned with the Arrest Agenda. But I didn't tell you that barely a month after we launched the Arrest Agenda, the global architecture began to face what we've been calling of late turbulence. One of our biggest partners in terms of support, USAID, have been the second largest donor to Liberia. As we speak, nearly all of the projects that were being implemented and planned, with the exception of 2, the cost of the projects canceled should be upwards of $300 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And that has brought in some unpredictability. But besides USAID, the global architecture is witnessing some backpedaling on official development assistance. Some of the partners are looking within, and they may not be, the backpedaling may not be as dramatic as that is coming from our biggest bilateral partner or supporter, but indeed the official development assistance landscape is seeing a so-called migration. We have posted the Arrest Agenda at $8.38 billion. we have more than 370 interventions, critical interventions in all the sectors of infrastructure and whatnot. It is good to know that we are moving with speed, full throttle, vim and vigor on all the fronts. To the extent now that given the vim of the Borough West Minister, we're estimating that it will continue on this pace. Our ambitions in the arrest agenda will be surpassed. We have the ambition to reduce multi-dimensional poverty from 45% to 36%. We have the ambition to increase real GDP per capita of our people from the current $850 per person to $1,050 by 2029, making us a lower middle income country. We have a lot of ambitions, the ambitions of our people, because we're crafting the development agenda. We went all across the country. There were intense consultations with friends, partners, and our people. So that document encapsulates the dreams and aspirations, the visions of our people. Now, we are facing some stress tests. We have come today not to retreat, but to plan, to deal with some of the challenges we are facing. From what I see and sense, this too shall pass. And that the captain, the able captain of this arrest plane will land us safely to our destination. From what I see and sense, we are on course in spite of the turbulence. But we have come to discuss honestly as to what mitigating measures, what compensating actions we're going to take to deal with what I call the new architecture. So we have come for frank conversations. At the level of the government, we are taking measures. We are rationalizing expenditure. We are reducing leakages, waste and abuse. We are also upping our domestic resource mobilization because ultimately we feel that the best way to deal with the pulling up or the backpedaling of external support is the front pedaling of our domestic resource mobilization. And let me in this manner thank the Commissioner General of the Liberia Revenue Authority and all others in the revenue generation equation that are doing their best. We are taking actions. We are digitizing processes, and that we are plugging leakages. As time goes by, we hear a lot of strong and stringent actions we're going to take. Our tolerance for skullduggery has practically evaporated. And so we've come to hear from you. We also are increasing our regional integration efforts, whether it's through us, at the Ministry of Finance, or through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other sector ministries. The integration efforts, whether it's through ECOWAS, whether it's through AAID and other mechanisms that we are part of, the conversation is getting very serious. We must take our neighbors very seriously. We in Africa, to some extent, are less integrated with our neighbors than we are with some other countries part of our continent. This new architecture is serving as the fuel or the fire on our rocket that is going to catapult us into new areas of achievements. The inertia and the delay and the snail pacing that we saw on many things with regard to integration, whether it was single currency for ECOWAS, passports, free movement, the conversations across are getting very, very interesting. So, source of cooperation is one of the strategies, and making sure that we leverage the potential from the integration potential of our country and the framework we are in, we're taking them more and more seriously. But we don't have all the ideas. We concede that we don't know all. We have come to teach from your brilliance and your wisdom. So today, we have come to see how we can strengthen cooperation and also get innovative ideas on what do we do to generate the necessary resources to ensure the implementation of the arrest agenda. So that's why we are here. So, Mr. President, thanks for squeezing in some time in your very busy schedule to join us. Madam Resident Coordinator, Development Partners, Ambassadors, Cabinet Ministers, thanks for coming. Let's have the conversation. We're going to take notes and that we'll do our best to ensure that the arrest agenda and its goals and its targets are implemented. There may be need to readjust in some areas. There may be need to downgrade in some areas and to upgrade in other areas. After this conversation, we are going to see how we operationalize the coordination frameworks of the agenda. You saw all the structures, the pillar leads, and we'll be calling pillar meetings. We are going to align the budget with the arrest agenda. So ministers and heads of entities, please look at the arrest agenda. We already have interventions we've agreed. I know there's always the temptation to reinvent the wheel and bring new things. But before you bring new things, you will ask, what have we done with the old plans and projects that we've already agreed on? So the arrest agenda is going to inform the new budget. We're going to take it very seriously. So thank you very much. We look forward to a day of productive conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. I will now ask the RC, Madam Christine Motoni, for special
That
remarks.
was the Minister of Finance, Development and Planning, Minister Augustine Gascoigne, giving an overview of the
Your
retreat
Excellency
today.
Joseph Nyuma Boakai, the President of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, Her Excellency Sarah Nyati, the Dean of Cabinet. She's my mentor in the current job that I carry. Ministers present, members of government in your various capacities, distinguished development partners, and partners we have to emphasize. They include private sector, members of civil society, international partners, academia, media, and others, and especially esteemed Liberians at home and abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. So this retreat is a great opportunity to engage in a dialogue to strengthen our partnership for the implementation of Liberia's national plan, the arrest agenda for inclusive development, and the county development agendas. The minister has clearly elaborated the objectives, which are to enhance strategic partnership and coordination, collaboration, but also explore innovative financing mechanisms to make the plan work. I believe this is what we mean by thought leadership. Thought leadership, when I try to find out what it's about, is the possibility to create moments like this, the possibility to convene people like you for generating valuable insights, innovative ideas through provoking content that challenges conventional thinking. This is what we are here to do within the context of the challenges and opportunities that are facing us. In September last year, the President of Liberia attended the General Assembly together with a delegation of children and youth to present the country's contribution to the Summit of the Future. In January this year, the REST Agenda for Inclusive Development was launched together with the county development agendas, marking a turning point for Liberia with the ambition to move this nation to a middle-income country. The AAID is one of those plans developed during these last few years to end the 2030 agenda. Hence, it aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly the 6 transitions to accelerate the SDGs. And all these strategies are built in to accelerate achieving the global agenda, the regional commitments, through implementation of country national plans. So we look at the AAID as a very important document as it links with all these international commitments. I should say that soon after the launch, we at the UN held a UN government policy dialogue as we were preparing for our own cooperation, the guiding torch, the national plan. I know as I stand here that many other partners are also in the process of designing their own country partnership documents, which are all aligned to the plan. So having a plan is very important for everyone in the partners within the partner group. So, Mr. President, we receive regular briefings and engagements with the Ministry of Finance, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on a global level. But of course, at sector level, sector ministries meet also with specific agencies working in those sectors. In March, we were briefed by the Minister of Finance at our diplomatic and international partners meeting that we hold every Friday. This time, he actually presented to us what's happening on the changing global financial landscape and what this means to Liberia. And he suggested that we should have a government and partners retreat. So this retreat is what he told us to do, and here we are to engage, visit each other and discuss. In subsequent engagements, we met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we did more brainstorming on the global environment and what it means to countries and their development journey. I will not go into the details of the conversations, but we will hear more from them, but also from different experts on how these thoughts are going to evolve. We realize that our collective efforts to achieve sustainable development is more crucial now than ever, especially in the face of the challenges we can currently confront. Our strategy for cooperation must yield sustainable transformative changes to communities. I believe we have the power to reshape the strategies that bring out more opportunities within this challenging situation. And I think the Minister of Finance elaborated it very well. For Liberia is new. We know we will go through many challenges and overcome. Not to speak about the war, Ebola, COVID, and all those things, but we always show resilience and have overcome. So no doubt that we can find opportunities to grow within the context that we face. But of course, we must shift, all of us, to development coordination, which aligns our efforts, ensuring that every stakeholder supports the national plan directly. And I think we've heard it from government, they're focusing on program budgeting, but whether it's private sector, civil society, international partners, everybody should work towards implementing the plan and not doing anything besides the plan. We must work through a coordinated approach to amplify our development impact and foster mutual accountability as we strive to realize the vision set in the AAID. In fact, the whole of society approach. This plan is for everybody. It's not for government. It's for every individual in this country, communities, young people, women, everywhere where there's. In fact, every time I meet the youth, I tell them, ask what you can do for your country before you ask what the country can do for you. So this is everybody's plan, and everybody's contribution will make it happen. A key element of this transformation is unlocking the potential of domestic resources, seeing the importance of the private sector, but also the diaspora. I won't dwell so much on this. I know experts are going to talk about that. But I know situations where solidarity funds, $1 campaigns, diaspora bonds, different efforts have been made that catalyze development that is based from within the power and the energy of the people as we harness development partners by building on the country capacities. As we embark on this new paradigm shift, we must embrace the agility that comes with it. The challenges we face are complex and multifaceted. Our responses must be equally dynamic. We must be willing to adapt, innovate, and explore all different alternative financing mechanisms and other mechanisms that will help us move forward. It is a call for creativity in the way we think about development and development financing. Together we can identify and implement strategies that will enhance all resources, whether domestically or internationally, whether from informal or formal sectors, and all different ways in which we can achieve this. As I conclude, I want to say that we need to emphasize the message of hope and resilience that we had from the Minister of Finance, and we stand at the threshold of an era in Liberia's development journey, and while we are facing the difficult ahead, we must remember that it's not a time to lament, but really to think forward and to think in a way that propels our development. Indeed, we must foster a spirit of resilience and determination and focus on opportunities, very important opportunities that lie ahead of us. So, as the first quarter of 2025 is coming to a lot happening, especially with the government of Liberia collecting performance reports from different ministries, agencies, and commissions related to the AAID. This is very, very important, and the data is vital for assessing our progress and ensuring accountability. Additionally, we would put in practice the implementation of the coordination structures, which will help us also to monitor. And I think the Minister has elaborated on these structures. In conclusion, I really want to thank the international speakers who will be speaking today. And in the room, please, if you may stand up, Mr. Kehofer, International Finance Corporation, IFC, who's here all the way from Ghana, standing in for the Vice President of IFC, Ngoni, Madam Ngoni, who is the Regional Director for Economic Commission of Africa, flew all the way to here. Online, we have the Special Advisor to the Secretary General on Africa, USG, Christina Gov't. It's the first time I see Christina speaking to a country-specific conversation. I always see her in international conferences, regional conferences. We really thank her for having the time to speak to a country-specific forum like this one. Online also we have the Executive Secretary for the Economic Commission for Africa, USG Gatete, who also is the first time I'm seeing him addressing a nation specifically. We will be hearing from the UNDP Africa Regional Director, Madam Akuna, and also we will be hearing from an RC that gives an example of the country context. So I really want to thank the participation of all the partners who are here, who are resident here. And I urge all of us gathered here today to embrace this moment with optimism and resolve. Our coordination structures, we talked of steering committee, coordination committee, technical committee should be put to work. And I hope that the retreat makes strong recommendation on how best to move forward on this. Let us strengthen our partnership and look new avenues for participation and approach our work with the agility required to navigate the complexities of the time. Together we can revitalize the vision of the arrest agenda for inclusive development and ensure that Liberia not only meets the development goals, but thrives for the next generation to come. I thank you so much for listening, and I wish you a very good deliberation. Thank you, Mr. President, for gracing this occasion.
Thank you, Madam RC. We've heard from the Minister who gave us lay out the purpose of this meeting, and we heard from the RC on how the government can collaborate with other partners. We'll now hear from the Dean of the Cabinet, the Foreign Minister, who has been providing an order to the wheel of development in this country. Prime Minister, welcome.
Excellency, President of the Republic of Liberia, Joseph Newman Boyka, the Minister of Finance and members of the Cabinet present, the Doyen and members of the Diplomatic Corps and Consular Corps, the UN Resident Coordinator for Liberia, USG Gatete, USG Duarte, and other members of the UN family here and online, the members of the fourth estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, also let me recognize civil society and private sector here present. I would like to thank the Minister of Finance and the RC the UN country team, all the development partners for this event, which comes at a time of enormous uncertainties and doubts on the future of multilateralism and international cooperation. So many questions are being asked and not so many answers are being proffered. I had the honor of participating, speaking at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum a few days ago, where we had more questions and answers about where the world is headed and the role of Africa in this evolving picture. And I want to use the opportunity to share something I said there. If we are entering a multipolar new world order, Africa must be one of the poles. And Liberia must play her part to ensure that Africa is one of the poles in a multipolar world. Today we are proud that Liberia is named as one of the most stable democracies in Africa. But we didn't get here alone. So many in this room, online, and not here today help us to get here. And we do not take that for granted. Partnerships, relationships, support got us here. We also recognize, though, that for us to achieve the ARREST agenda for inclusive development, the government of Liberia carries the lion's share of the responsibility. And our president, President Joseph Boyka, is clear about that and has not taken that for granted. And I like how Minister Gafan coined it, the captain of our ship. And the captain of our ship has said, we must look at ourselves. He's told us several times, look at yourself, let's look at ourselves, look inside, and look at what we can do to change the narrative for Liberia. It is under that leadership and that wisdom that all of this is happening and that we can march forward as we are. The goals of the AAID, several goals, and one of the major things is that the AAID has taken a vision of the Liberian people who said that by 2030, we want to be a lower middle income country. That in mind, we have articulated the ARREST agenda for inclusive development. And with that in mind, it means that we must do everything we can to achieve all that we can every single month, every single year. I want to laud the Ministry of Public Works, as others have done before me, for the possibility that we may overachieve in that particular sector. This retreat is important because it's about us discussing how we achieve the results that the President of Liberia has promised the Liberian people. As our international partners, we call this a development partners retreat. And I was looking around the room and I was saying to myself, development partners, what does that really mean? Who's really seated in this room? We sit here as partners. Some are donors, some are funders, some are implementers, and oftentimes, let's call it what it is. Let me kill the elephant in the room. We're often competitors. The resources that come from donors, sometimes sought after by the UN and international NGOs, the same funding that government is seeking to get. So we're talking about having a retreat. We need to speak truth about what this is really about. In the face of dwindling resources, who gets the resources? And in the face of dwindling resources, who's best placed? And I say this not to be provocative, but to take us somewhere. The time has come now for all of us to work together as one, working towards one vision. And the AAID tells us what we want to achieve, it tells us when we want to achieve it, it even gives us some of the particular actions. But the how is not often articulated. The how is not only about money. The how is about who does what where. Who's best placed to do what. And oftentimes, our country systems are not used because there's a risk analysis conducted that the government is not a part of, but there's a perception of the government that being used to apply funding decisions. Those conversations need to be held as well. Where do you place Liberia? Where do you place this administration? Where are we on the risk radar? And what can we do to fix it so that the government systems are used to reach the people of Liberia and to ensure that where civil society is best placed, and we get civil society to do it. It also means that we must accept the technical support from the experts that are here to help us. The strength of the UN is technical capacity, and where they don't have it, they can bring it in. How do we make sure we get the best out of the UN, the best out of international NGOs, the best out of the private sector, the best out of our multilateral entities, the best out of our Bretton Woods institutions, the best out of the administration, where all of us come to the table with our best and agree on roles and responsibilities so that we maximize the resources that are intended to be used to serve the people of Liberia. The strategies that the Minister of Finance shared around plugging leakages and some of the things the administration is doing to ensure that you can trust your resources into the government system. More will continue to be done, but we have to have honest conversations, or else we won't get anywhere. The world is changing rapidly. And one of the reasons why we take regional integration very seriously is because too far we've looked too far. And oftentimes solutions are right here. And so I'm proud to say that within weeks of going to Burkina Faso and speaking to the president and speaking to the business community, 2 delegations came from Burkina Faso, and already they are building machines in Lofa that will treat over 1,000 women. We didn't have to import it from another country. Burkina Faso came here, building the machines, teaching us how to build and repair it, and women are being trained. So we're talking about how to achieve the results of the AAID. It's about thinking outside the box, looking in our backyard, looking here at home, looking at who's best placed to do what, can do it, and being supported as true partners to do that. I want to say a big thank you to all of us as we continue to look at how we move forward. And I want to thank the President for the opportunity for us to serve under his leadership and for us to have this dialogue, have this retreat where we are looking at ourselves and looking at the vast resources we have, the resources that we have, looking at our economic model and looking at how we change our economic model to best serve the people of Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister, for the dynamism. So you see, when I said she always provided order to the boost of our development, I'm not making a mistake. She's being the system, she knows how it works. Before the next speaker, I will ask the RC to just give a quick announcement.
Thank you. While announcing those present online, I forgot to mention the Development Coordination Office, Regional Office, and Madame Escada, who is online representing Yacoub, the Regional Director, who was a DSRSG and RC in this country. So the Coordination Office actually helps us to do what we do and how to coordinate, how to convene. And so if we are here, kudos, Madame Escada. Thank you so much for your support and greetings to the crew. We know he's traveling, but we have wanted to be here in person, in fact, and we promise to come soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before the Excellency's remarks, we'll call on someone very important within society and within the structure of our development process. You know, human capital is important for the AAID. You have the system, you have the plan, but it has to be implemented by people. It has to be manned by people. And so I would like to ask the President of the University of Liberia to make a few remarks. Madam President.
thank you very much for this opportunity and standing on existing protocol with thanks to His Excellency for including higher education in this program today. I want to stand here on behalf of the higher education community in Liberia and say thank you to both the government of Liberia and to the development partners for understanding and elevating the role of higher education in national development as well as global, sustainable, inclusive development. Higher ed institutions and higher ed in general has a signal role in human capacity building and national development as well as the achievement of global aims. In fact, it is fair to say that all roads pass through higher education because higher education builds experts and creates leaders. Every element of the ARESTA agenda for inclusive development maps onto a program of the University of Liberia or another Liberian university. So we stand ready to work. We are a brain trust and an engine of innovation for the nation. Collectively, we capacitize ourselves so that we can capacitize others. I want to point out that one of the most important things that makes higher education work effectively and meet its promise is the way that we view learners themselves, and in fact, our views on human nature. One of the things that I've often said, it is important to understand the inherent value and potential of each individual, particularly our children and youth. I've said before, quoting from the Baha'i writings, that each person is a mine, rich in gems of inestimable value. And it is important that we use education from the earliest education of our very young children through our higher education and indeed in terms of lifelong learning to polish those gems so that they are visible and in service to the nation and the world, indeed to all humanity. So the foundation is set by the choices we make about how to invest in that potential in every human being. There's also a great importance that must be placed on being inclusive. And by inclusive, I often mean looking to the most vulnerable or marginalized members of society and making sure that they are the part of the process, and that's the I in the AAID. In particular, in higher education, we care deeply about the welfare and the advancement of youth. But of course, we also put special attention on the inclusion of women and gender equality, as well as the inclusion of people with disabilities and increasing access. And I'm thankful that the AAID has spoken to these things. Of course, we also place great importance on people who are economically vulnerable because we know that higher education is a pathway to transformation of one's economic circumstances. Part of becoming a middle-income country is providing middle-income opportunities. And universities play a special role in this by providing opportunities, particularly for those individuals who have dedicated years of their lives to pursuing advanced degrees for the purpose of advancing knowledge and serving the nation through teaching and instruction. So one of my goals for the University of Liberia over time is to make it a middle-class employer of choice in Liberia. I want to also mention a few other aspects of higher education that are very important in this context. Everyone knows that in this day and age, international partnerships are a big part of how higher education does business. We cannot be on the cutting edge of innovation, curriculum, or pedagogy without international partnerships. In fact, we rely on international partnerships for the capacity building of our faculties and of our students and for increasing the opportunities for innovation. So I want to thank our international partners who have worked with the higher ed section in Liberia and ask that you continue to do so, particularly in light of the recent cuts that we have faced with the changes in direct foreign assistance. I also want to put in one plug for another factor that's very important that's been mentioned and is also part of the AAID, and that is digitization. The modern higher education institution must be nearly fully digitized. We know that higher ed institutions in Liberia, beginning with the University of Liberia, have a long way to go, but I stand here to say that the appetite is there. We invite partners, and we would like to fast-track the digitization of Liberia's higher education sector. So on that note, I will conclude and just say thank you for including me in today's program, and on behalf of all of Liberia's higher ed education, and with a nod to my sister President Romel Horton of Connington, who spoke so eloquently earlier today, thank you, we stand ready.
Thank you so much. It's important to use education to promote the germs so that they can be visible in service. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Madam Dean and members of the President's Cabinet, other officials of government, Madam Resident Coordinator of the United Nations System, and representatives of international organizations, development partners, Madam President of the University of Liberia, and heads of institutions specialized in higher learning, representatives of civil society organizations, other invited guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasing duty at this time to present to you His Excellency Joseph Newman Boakai, Senior President of the Republic of Liberia, for remarks.
Thank you very much. We're actually drafted to be here this morning. So I want to thank you very much. Please have your seats. Members of the Cabinet, the Dean of the Cabinet, members of the diplomatic corps, development partners, representative of private sector, civil society, in the diaspora, fellow Liberians. I want to thank you very much for your commitment to the REST agenda for inclusive development. Let me let you know that with our development partners, that I'm very proud of the team that we have in government. We may have inherited some, but the one that we brought on board, we trust that they will be the one to work with us to deliver to the Liberian people one thing that for our development partners, sometimes you know of the people, but we know the people. And so I want to assure you that our team is capable. We have to do some reform, but I want to assure you that this development agenda is on course. And I'm pleased to join you this morning as we take another step to advance our collective commitment to Liberia's future through the REST agenda for inclusive development. This agenda is a call to action, involving our shared aspirations for a prosperous, inclusive, and equitable Liberia. Our challenges are intricate and multidimensional, and as I speak, we confront several challenges. Many children remain out of school, facing an uncertain future. Some of our youth, the potentially productive core, are either unemployed or entangled in the drag net of drug abuse. With women and girls disproportionately affected by economic and social challenges, the urgency for intervention could not be more apparent. These realities highlight not only the capacity issues within the institution, but also present necessity for transformative change. A change that will provide economic relief, including generating employment opportunities for our people, particularly the youth, women, and the individuals with disability. All of these are compounded by the uncertainties of an unfolding global funding landscape, which the Minister of Finance articulated so well. We must now rethink and retool and ensure we develop the capacity to address and overcome the national and global barriers that threaten us as a people and a country. This is why the success of the National Development Plan is critical. While achieving the effective implementation of the REST agenda for inclusive development as primary responsibility of our government, we believe its ultimate success will also depend on the strength of our collaboration with our development partners. Working together with government partners, private businesses, civil society organizations, and our international friends is very critical. By fostering mutual objectives, respect, and shared responsibilities, we can turn our development goals into real, tangible outcomes. The 6 strategic pillars of the AAID, agriculture, roads, infrastructure, the rule of law and governance, education, sanitation and health, and tourism are the critical areas we believe will both development and serve as guideposts for the transformation we seek in the coming years. Key to our success, we partly depend on how we foster inclusive collaboration by aligning our collective efforts and resources, enhancing capacity, encouraging innovation, and adapting the exigencies, and promoting transparency and accountability to rebuild public trust to promote state-society relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, given the price tag of nearly $8.4 billion to implement the AAID in the next 5 years, the uncertainties of international development resource infusion, we see the retreat as a government and development partners coming at an appropriate time. Which is why we warmly welcome the objectives of this retreat and calls to enhance strategic partnership and seamless implementation of the AAID. We encourage the United Nations and our international partners to focus more on addressing the root causes of our development challenges rather than just the consequences such as peace-building interventions. We build a better foundation of peace when we build an economy that creates jobs, provide incomes, and deliver services to the people. As we embark on the exciting, transformative journey together, I assure you that my government stands in total cooperation and support. We are committed to working with the banking sector to provide accessible financing and foster entrepreneurship, the private sector partner to invest in areas that are aligned to the AAID pillars, to create jobs and promote economic growth, civil society to act as both collaborators and watchdogs in ensuring inclusivity, transparency, and accountability, and in our international development partners to facilitate resource mobilization, including working with us to determine appropriate financing mechanism to the AAID. And finally, the Liberian people to provide opportunity to actively participate in the development process and hold government accountable. And I mean seriously, hold this government accountable. Our country is greatly endowed, and we come together as a people, joining hands with partners who can discover creative financing and strategies and mobilize resources in both at the local level and in the midst of funding challenges and strengthening our institution for effective delivery. By sharing the common vision and fostering collaborative spirit, we can realize the ultimate goal of the arrest agenda for inclusive growth and development. To the United Nations and the rest of our development partners, we want to thank you for your contributions and joining us to undertake this important venture. We look forward to the outcome of this retreat as we work together in the spirit of honest cooperation to steer our country toward a transformed future. I want to thank you for all of your time you've given to us and the resources you have been helping us to mobilize. I want to ask God blessing all of us and save our country. I want to take the time to thank the president of the university for bringing out on board last minute. We believe that academia is very important to whatever we do, and we just want to appreciate you for your information. Thank you. God bless you, and we wish you a very successful retreat.
That was the President of the Republic of Liberia, Joseph Boakai, making a special remark on the retreat of the government of Liberia and partners.
Heads of all diplomatic missions and ambassadors, please come forward. And the head of the diplomatic partnership, please come forward for a photograph with His Excellency. Can you turn the screen off, please? Thank you.
Well, folks, this is Focus on Liberia live broadcast. We are at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex, where the government of Liberia, in collaboration with partners, holds a high-level retreat strengthening partnerships for the implementation of Liberia's national plan, the AAID. And the president made his special remark, and the delegates, partners with the government of Liberia, there were photos here. And then right after the president leaves, the retreat continues. My name is Gwendolyn Dorado. I'm here. I ask that you stick and stay, and let's have a great time together.
Please remain in your seats. As the president exits, please remain in your seat. Heads of entities, you are allowed to leave this hall until the progress hall.
So the president is leaving the retreat hall right now. So the president has left the hall, and the retreat continues. Once again, my name is Gwendolyn Dorado, and shortly we will be shutting down in
We will continue with our presentation.
In a few minutes we'll be shutting down. Until then, I urge that you keep watching the live broadcast.